frustrated before, Sarah. I am now.
Cool. I'll just present those slides.
Don't start the clock yet.
No, absolutely. I would be here.
Sorry, it's just taking a second to catch up. It's should be there in a second.
Get in there.
If you go Dom,
Cool. Is that as near we can get to presenting mode, Mosa?
It's catching up with me. I've clicked it, but it's just needs a few seconds.
Okay, great. I'll talk over this first slide anyway, just because I'm not speaking yet, so that's why I'm talking. So yeah, as I say, I'm Dom. I'm the producer of the Working Boys Club, but I'm joined today by Jason and Adam Dupree, who are the Working Boys Club, and they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves and their work. Next slide, please.
Hello, it's me. It's Jason, not the live productions. I have no idea who that is. I promised I've got a time because I can ramble on, so I'm going to my time right now because I've got 2 minutes to do my part and then pass it over to my brother. So, who are the Working Boys Club? Well, myself and Adam founded a company in 2021, and we were it was kind of born due to finding work made by and for working class communities. We basically wanted to make work that reached and engaged the places we grew up in. Like, so for example, our dad, who is a full-time, well, he was a full-time electrician, lives next to a pub, and he never goes to the arts, doesn't engage in his kind of spaces. And we're like, what would it be if we had to make a piece of work that would engage him? And we all know, like, I don't have to tell people here right now how important the arts is, and for him to feel alienated or feel stupid or don't feel like the arts are for him was, I feel like, not a problem on his part, but a problem on the arts community, the arts industry. So this is where we came in and thought, well, what would we make if we were trying to talk to our dad? Which brings us on to Serving Sounds, our first and flagship project. The next slide, please. It's coming sometime. It's tense. We're normally more fluid than that in real life.
Yeah, it's a bit jerky, and there should be sound on there as well, but that's not working. Adam, do you want to just talk over the top of that?
Yeah, sure. So this is it. We can see right now is our pub. It's a 4-person multi-sensory interactive installation, which pretty much means it's like a really simple touch-sensitive DJ booth, which plays like 90s bangers or any of the music we want to put on it, really. It was inspired, came from the inspiration of looking into research about male mental health or mental health in general, looking at the 5 ways of well-being, and we were trying to take inspiration from that and place it into this new project. We chose the theme of a pub because that is where we grew our communities, and it's where our dad sort of took us all the time, and he's sort of, I would say, what was he, the king of karaoke, what he classed himself as. So we wanted to find something that would inspire our friends and include our friends from our past sort of jobs that could come along to this and instantly understand what we're doing. We chose music because it's a way that we also could like create connections like heavily over the years, being in bands and creating music with different people. And we found that for me anyway, I struggle with my mental health, and music for me was a great way to express that. And we're hoping that would sort of feed into the sort of people that play with us. So it's an instrument that we play, and also we invite people up to play with us. So it's not a passive instrument. It's something we want to. It's a way that we can create conversations really quickly with people because we're face to face. We're not putting an act on. We're just pushing buttons and making music. And I haven't really got a way to finish that, but yeah, 90s bangers, we love them. And this is actually from Glastonbury as well. We've been playing like all over last summer, and it was an absolute blast.
And can we have the last slide then, please, or next slide? Sorry. So as I say, I'm Dom. I work for Activate Performing Arts. I'm lucky to have been on this journey with Adam and Jason for the last couple of years as their producer. we commissioned the boys to R&D this work for our festival, Inside Out Dorset, in 2021. And then we've been lucky to have real support from other festivals, including Arts by the Sea and Culture Western, many others, and Without Walls as well last year, to take the show out and reach thousands of audiences. So we're still keen to do that. We've got another busy year in the books, but there's always space and we're always keen to go and meet new people. Serving Sounds is really light touch now for production. It's battery powered, it's on wheels, it's got a roof, it comes with its own PA, comes with a little TV that plays the footy, all types of additions being made. It's environmentally sourced, so it's all recycled from the legendary Dad Colin Dupree's kitchen table. And it's accessible as well. We'll send out an access pack, but it's at wheelchair height, all those things that you need for your events. Yeah, so if anyone is interested, my details will be somewhere. You can contact me through Activate Performing Arts and we can make a booking. There we go. There are my details. Thank you, Mimosa.
Oh, that's our dad. We actually got him to not only sort of give us it's done at dinner table. He actually came and played a little gig with us, and yeah, he actually loved it. He's a performer through and through. He didn't realise it.
Brilliant, excellent. Thank you guys. That's great. So I've got some questions for you. Just I've seen it. I've got my groove on on Ensemble Festival, and I totally loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really participatory, and I loved how young people could also get involved
as well.
I know. So thinking about sort of locations for it and where would be ideal for it and times of day, the thing that really interests me was, would it work sort of nighttime with a nighttime economy audience, shall we say? People who are out in town, would that be a good way of engaging people that perhaps weren't used to engaging in culture?
Are you talking about out or out? You know, that's the question. I mean, I think for us,
Basingstoke, so Wetherspoon's out.
I mean, for us, we thrive in that situation, and I think bringing like our newfound arts understanding with our kind of old lad mentality, where we can really kind of have discussions and turn these kind of like maybe kind of weird interactions into something really quite useful. So yeah, for us, I think daytime we've done, and kids love it. We're making a kids version right now because bars and kids maybe it's a bit weird, but adults and alcohol, and turning that understanding of what you do in a bar into maybe a more useful conversation than getting drunk. You know, this is something where we can sit right now, all the while playing music and having fun.
And also, just quickly on to add on to that, is we are updating it and having not only interactive music but lights that light up when you touch things at the same time. So to hopefully to sort of push more into the evening and nighttime gigs.
True.
Oh, Mimosa has raised a hand.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. So this year, one of our TNP partners had a show that also had themes of alcohol, but in their specific region, they had quite a lot of their community that don't drink alcohol, or that kind of thing. So I was wondering if there's any alternatives that can steer away from the alcohol side but still have the bar side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've so we've actually we've been through this a lot, particularly as Jay was saying, around the younger audiences as well, where it's, you know, there are some things there, and we've always used the phrase where it's a bar that serves beats not beer, bass not bass, that type of thing, and that it's not about the alcohol. The alcohol is a framing for that, maybe, but there is no alcohol present and there's nothing there. So you know, I think Jason and Adam did some work with Arts by the Sea last year, and it ended up going into a secondary school, and the school were fine with it. They realized that it wasn't promoting drinking. So I think that's one angle to take. I don't know whether you had anything else to add, Adam or Jason.
I mean, maybe being a bit kind of blunt as well and saying that, you know, we've not made it for everyone, actually. You know, I mean, I think if you try and make everything for everyone, you're going to make something that's kind of watery. So actually, it was based around, you know, our pub. we have taken it into schools and it actually works really well. But if it's certain kind of like we were thinking about Alcohol Anonymous and going into there, but actually going to pubs, maybe it's not the right places. So I don't think everywhere it fits, but it does fit a lot of places because we are a nation of community and pub goers, you know. And so this is where we want to kind of work towards. Maybe that's something to say. Sorry, Dom, if I'm passing the foot, but I think it's true, you know.
I think you're right, but it was inspired to look at communities, but taking away the alcohol aspect. So we made it in I guess an ironic sort of type of fashion of this is where we build communities, but we believe possibly alcohol shouldn't be the sort of focal point around it, and this is why we've replaced that with music, but using sort of the carcass of where our communities sort of were built.
I will jump in.
Sarah, are you tight? I was going to say, are you going to?
Yeah. We are. Yes. Well, we can.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you so much. Brilliant Working Boys Club. I loved it.
Guys.
Any final thoughts that you want to say before you go?
No, thank you.
Big thank you to Without Wars, I think, for all their support and for having us here.
Yeah.
And great questions as well. I think some of these are really relevant questions, so thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, so next up we've got Suba from Akademi, who's here to talk about her professional show. Suba, are we ready with Suba's slides?
Great, thank you. Just to say, they're just a load of pictures. I can't remember the order, so it's going to be very much made up as we go along. But hopefully it'll give you a flavour of the work. Just tell me when I'm ready. Am I ready to go? Oh, I'll wait for you to start the slide. Shall I go? Great. So my name is Suba. I'm Artistic Director of Akademi. And Akademi are a South Asian dance organisation. We're based in London. And our vision really is to take South Asian dance to anybody and everybody, wherever you might be, whether in a care home and in a hospital, whether you're in a special needs school, or whether it's a production. What we try and do is also support artists across the board, cross art forms. So the work that I'm talking about is called Pravaas. Pravaas literally means migration in Hindi. And it's a South Asian dance piece that is inspired by the climate-induced migration of people. So it feels like a piece that is really apt for now and quite poignant. And I did the research for this piece in India, in a region of India called the Sundarbans, which is going to see the world's largest population of people moving because their homes and their landscapes have been destroyed usually due to extreme weather. So I went to see the people who've had to move because their houses have literally been washed away. I did workshops in schools with young people who have moved houses 3 times, 4 times. These schools have flood shelters because that's what they build. They build these huge shelters where people can move into. So, and a lot of what I saw was has very much inspired this whole piece. It's about the stories of the people. It's about what people move, what people take, and how they move. Next slide, please. So Pravaas the set is made up of these really quite enormous and smaller versions of bamboo structures. Quite easy to put up. I know they don't look like it, but they're actually quite easy to put up and take down. And the idea of the bamboo structures was that everywhere I went, most of these houses that I saw felt really semi-permanent, but actually they're all made out of bamboo. So it felt really apt for us to build these. And these structures during the piece take on they can take on lots of different things. Sometimes they look like a bit of a home. Sometimes they look like a fishing net. Sometimes they look like a boat. So the dancers, could we have the next slide, please? So the dancers actually move with these structures. So here we were, I think, in Norwich Festival, and this is the 3rd site. So the piece is over 3 sites. It's a promenade piece. And the 3 sites need to be out of sight from each other, but they need to be far enough that you're moving somewhere. So the audience are implicit in the migration of the entire piece of work. So the audience have to help carry the structures. All of our music are on trolleys that are moved, so everything moves. It is like an entire community moves from one place to another to another. And that's the thing we really want people to feel in this piece. And there are 3 dancers, and there is a live Carnatic, which is a South Indian classical voice, singing voice. So there's a live singer, there's recorded music that we pull along on trolleys, and we place on 3 sites. And the singer almost serenades us as we walk from site 1 to site 2 to site 3. And when you arrive at site 3, these huge big structures are already in place. And from site 1 to 2 to 3, we carry the smaller versions. Can we have the next slide? So the audience are actually, so this was again at Norfolk and Norwich Festival. These are the smaller structures, and it was in a school playground. So this piece kind of works anywhere where we can move, where there's a ground is sort of flat enough to be able to dance on, we can move. So this is where we started the piece, in a school playground, and those structures literally move with you. And so much of the way in which we ask the audience to be a part of it is to actually help us carry those structures. So anybody really carries those structures. You know, we've had kids, really little kids, holding the hands of the dancers because they can't reach the bamboo structures. We've had people carrying the structures like they're really precious bits of people's homes, which is what it feels like. And there are, just in terms of logistics, there are 7 of us on the road. So there are 4 performers, a sound engineer, production manager, and usually a rehearsal director or myself. We make sure we go to all of the sites, we set the work so that it really allows us to feel like there is an actual migration happening. We also travel with a South Asian dance specialist audio describer. So we actually travel with a describer who knows how to audio describe South Asian dance. And the dance forms that you see are taken from 2 South Asian dance forms, Bharatanatyam and Kathak. And all 3 dancers, in fact, the singer as well, they're all trained in South Asian dance forms. So apart from just the work itself, we also have, we can do a lot of engagement sort of activities and workshops, talks, all of this stuff that sits very much around the theme of migration. So we've done loads of work in schools in the past, but we haven't. So the work was taken, thank you to Without Walls, on the last tour, which was absolutely brilliant to take this piece of work out because we made it and we didn't know if it would work. We absolutely did not know what it was going to be like to move all of these bamboo structures. But the tour kind of allowed us to develop the work over the kind of whole of the summer. And we finished at Inside Out Dorset. Thank you, Dom. And had a great time.
2 minutes left.
I'm nearly done, actually. Wow. So yeah, the work that we can do around the theme of migration and the work that we can do around South Asian dance. So we take it to all sorts of places that have never seen South Asian dance before. So what we can do is actually do introductory workshops, dance forms around the themes of migration and oral histories and stories of people's lives. So there's so much stuff that we do around. Thematically, it sits really comfortably with the world that we live in right now. And that allows us to actually take the work beyond just the dance piece. And also, finally, the music is by Kathy Hind and Matt Olden. And it's really, really quite a beautiful piece of music. And as you can see, the trolleys that carry the music, it's made to look as rough and ready as possible. And it looks as though it's all kind of shambolic, but it isn't. It's all very carefully kind of choreographed. So yeah, we're really happy and really looking forward to touring it this summer and whenever we can. And over to you.
Thank you, Suba. I have to say, I absolutely loved this piece when I saw it in Brighton. I thought the choreography was just absolutely stunning, and the way it travelled through the most beautiful garden in Brighton in front of the pavilion was amazing. I suppose my question to start off with is, what happens if you don't have such a beautiful setting for the piece? And you talked a little bit around the school playground, but I mean, I love the beginning, the call, the sort of call for the audience to follow through the singer was just beautiful. But I just wondered how that might work in a busy high street or a busy location.
Yeah, so we also did it in Camden, in the middle of Drummond Street. They shut the street, closed the street, and it was right where there is a massive Bangladeshi community. And it felt absolutely incredible to do it there, just because of the communities and where the work came from. And it sits really nicely in streets. It's sat, we did it in Camden, even in Brighton. It started off in the middle of the kind of main shopping street, one of the kind of a street where there was a lot of shops around and a lot of people around. Logistically, it just is about cordoning off the space, sticking a load of bamboo in, and then people just kind of understand that something's going on. And it has worked because, when you do outdoor work like this, it's transient. Because it's over 3 sites, we pick up people and we lose people. It's something we absolutely get. So we kind of, the work is supposed to give you, even if you spend 5 minutes or you spend the entire 45 minutes with us, hopefully it will give you the essence of something that is happening that means people have to move. And that something that's happening is because things, people, structures, everything has to move, or there is something going on that means it's almost like that. It's like nothing is stagnant. You know, we're always giving the sense that people might have to get up and move at some point. So yeah, it works anywhere. It worked in Inside Out Dorset on a massive rewilded sites as well.
Yeah, brilliant, excellent. And I suppose for me, it's it's not participatory, but it is, because you're moving and you're asking audiences to carry the structures and help almost carry the set for the next location. How do the performers particularly encourage that, or do you find that you need a lot of sort of stage management help in that? How does that work?
Well, we make sure we do a really careful steward briefing, so the stewards know exactly what needs to happen. So they encourage, and the dancers are there. They literally ask and encourage people to help. They tell it through their face because they always look quite distressed in that moment because everything is moving. So the audience kind of just follow us. And, you know, we've had someone say that it felt sometimes like they were carrying a coffin because it felt so powerful in the way they carried the structures. And then one time somebody came up to me and said, when we were in Norfolk and Norwich outside the cathedral, someone shouted really loudly across, went, "Oi, are you carrying a cross across the road?" So it can take up like any sort of, it depends on where you are. It kind of, the structures take up a sort of meaning of them by themselves.
But it's quite a family friendly piece, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, totally. We've had really little kids holding the hands of dancers because they can't reach the structures. And we've got, you know, kids especially really love being involved in the carrying. So it becomes a really wonderfully, it brings the whole families to kind of help us. And that's really wonderful to watch.
And in terms of sort of technically, because obviously you've got 3 locations, and what I should have set up at the beginning is the festivals on this call are the TNP festivals. So they're sort of the next level down from the artistic directorate festivals, and they don't necessarily have the big resource that some of the bigger festivals have. But with this show, you all carry the equipment together, don't you? You don't sort of leave it behind. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, we're quite self-sufficient in the sense that we bring everything, we build everything, we create the work, and then we take everything down and we leave. And that was part of the sustainable nature in which the piece was created. That was one of our briefs to ourselves and all of the collaborators, is to make it a sustainable in terms of its touring and making. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to jump in. I'm just aware of time because we want to make sure everyone has a good slot. So if we could move on, that would be amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Suba. Sorry about my timekeeping. Tor, are you there from Arts by the Sea? Tor.
Hello, I am here.
Ah, brilliant. Hi, Tor. Yep, I can
How are
hear
you?
you loud and clear.
Oh,
Are we
brilliant.
ready with those slides?
I haven't got any slides today, but
You haven't got any slides.
have a little quick chat and explain why. So, hello everybody. I'm Tor Byrnes. I'm the creative director of Arts by the Sea. I'm currently not contracted with Arts by the Sea at the moment, so I'm kind of stepping in regardless. So I don't have access to all our files because they're council files. So I could have put something together quite quickly, but I just thought I'd come on and jump on and say hello to everybody and look at everybody's brilliant work. So a bit about Arts by the Sea Festival. We're in our 13th year, based in Bournemouth, and we involve BCP, so all of Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole. We are funded by Arts Council and Bournemouth Council, BCP Council as well. And we go across 2.5 days at the end of September. We're looking at, we haven't got a date confirmed as of yet, so it may be the end of September, the first weekend of October. Our main aim is to bring joy and inclusion to our communities, as well as bringing kind of fun to the streets of Bournemouth, and putting it in front of people who may not normally engage with the arts. Is kind of our idea. We are TNP, so we're a TNP festival. We also involve ourselves with lots of local communities and establishments like Pavilion Dance Southwest, and we've had lots of brilliant pieces in the past couple of years. We made the news big time last year due to some of our headline pieces causing a lot of controversy. But we do have a mix of everything, of all art. So it's a big outdoor festival with dance, theatre, music, big structures, night as well. And yeah, that's the in a nutshell what we do. And you can grab me. I don't have access to my emails for Arts by the Sea as of yet. However, we're looking at the contract. It is literally in procurement for the council at the moment. So I hope to be starting on it in the next 2 weeks. And then I'll be freaking out because as usual, they've not given me enough time to program a festival. But so please do reach out to me. It's forfromthefields.co.uk.
And isn't it wonderful dealing with local authority procurement? Or
it's really
I know it well.
Yeah, it's really good.
In terms of Arts by the Sea, first of all, I have to say I love the branding for Arts by the Sea. If anyone's looking for festival branding to copy, Arts by the Sea, their pink and their logo is wonderful, and their website is brilliant. So it's a great example of a brilliantly branded festival, and makes us very, very jealous. What's great about Arts by the Sea is you've got a beach. So in terms of work that's presented on the beach, and I know Portal was obviously a bit of an issue last year for you, but a brilliant issue, I have to say, because I saw it and it was absolutely beautiful. But in terms of presenting without walls work, have you used the beach much before?
Personally, since I've been involved, we've not used the beach for the TNP work, for lots of the without walls work, generally because for dancers it is not the place they want to be. It's quite difficult for dancers, and there is a lot of things we do have to think about when we put things on the beach, things like tides, and that changes. So even Portal was thought about a long time before we actually placed it there, and worked all on tides and things like that. So if it was a different time of the year or dependent on the moon rises and the tides, we may not have been able to have it there, but it did work. So that was great. But we are open to putting things on the beach, because it's just such a lovely space, and being surrounded in nature really works. But there is lots of obstacles. But the council helped me really well with that, with the events team. But the wonderful space that I love to use, especially for dance pieces, is just in front of the pier, so the backdrop is the beach. But there's a gorgeous flat space. I know we've got Miss I like Kicking here, who use the space and can vouch for it. It's been beautiful, and just a lovely flat space with such a big surrounding that really opens it up, and the backdrop really works. So it does go, the festival itself goes from the beach all the way through the town right up to the shopping centre. So it kind of goes and dips and dives into lots of different parts, including a green park and the beach and the town. So it's lovely to kind of have that transitional journey, and I really try and make the festival seem like a journey throughout, and so that it's flowing rather than trying to watch one show at a time. I try and make it quite so everyone can dip in and out, as I find that people tend to like doing that. Even though a show might be 45 minutes, people do like to just look at it and feel like that's enough for them, and give people that option. You know, I like to make sure that that's there, and the flow is there across the whole festival.
Time is perfect. We are at 7 minutes.
I would just add, just very quickly, that you do a lot of work in the States as well, don't you? So you do have that sort of out there program as well.
Yeah, we do have 2 community days. Hopefully we will get them again, which kind of lead up just before. So the 2 weekends before. And we do a lot of we're an NPO, so we do a lot of things that work with the communities throughout the year and make sure they're involved as well.
Real. Okay, so Ezra from Gorilla Circus. Thank you, Tor. Brilliant. Excellent.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's Nancy in place of Ezra today from Gorilla Circus.
Oh, okay.
Yes, hello. I'm Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
So I didn't have slides prepared, but I sent over some photographs. I'm not sure if they're available. Feel free to just flick through them, I guess, at your own pace. There's nothing sort of specific to photos that I'm going to be speaking about.
It's a bit slow, so I'll keep I'm doing it, but it might take a while to catch up with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so I'm the creative producer for Gorilla Circus. I've been working with them as producer for about just over a year now. Just a little bit about us. We're a new Arts Council NPO as of last year, small core team working remotely, though the company is based in the Fens, Cambridgeshire. I'm talking today about our lovely big show, Unity, which we presented with support from Without Walls last year at Norfolk and Norwich Festival and Ensemble Festival by Certain Blacks. And we also took it to the Freedom Festival in Hull. Unity is a large-scale production that merges immersive theatre, circus and community stories in a powerful but intimate way, whilst remaining adaptable and affordable to promoters. Using a series of cables strung between truss masts spread over a large area, Unity allows audiences to be close to and in amongst the action as our 5 amazing acrobats travel overhead. The show is soundtracked by an original composition by Peter Buffery, which features a recorded reading of a bespoke poem for each location that the show visits, created by a local poet. The piece is put together with the local poet and some of the local people via workshops. We have workshops held to put together a poem for each location that the show visits. And that's mixed into the soundtrack and yeah, creates some really beautiful things that end up being very personal to the area. The poem and show are divided into 3 sections. The first is focused on the past. What struggles have communities faced or overcome? The second is a call to action. What kind of society do we want to live in? What needs to change and how can we achieve it? And finally, the third section focuses on the positivity of unified communities striving for a common goal. What makes people proud of their area and what is their vision for the future? The performance space, ideal dimensions are 50 by 30 meters, but the structure can be adapted for smaller spaces and to accommodate for buildings or other obstacles. The audience are free to move amongst the structure during the performance. And it can be either staked in the ground or we can use concrete ballasts to hold everything together. I think that's about, and we've got 9 on the road for this. There's 5 performers, a rigger, a lighting designer, lighting tech and director. Yeah, I think that's everything that I've got to say about Unity.
I saw this at Ensemble. I was just blown away, particularly by the lady hanging by her hair. It was just amazing to watch, and it was really dusky, which was quite nice. So
it was a nice one, that one, actually.
Nighttime,
yeah, we've normally
or
done it at night. Oh, sorry. I think I interrupted.
Daytimey. No, that's fine. I mean, I was really touched by the placemaking element, the poem locally. In terms of that workshop process, how does that necessarily work with local participants on the ground for you guys?
As in, how do we recruit?
Well, in terms of how many workshops and how do you engage with the local poet, find the local poet?
Well, it's been different every time, really. For Norfolk and Norwich, they had a local poet or 2 that they recommended, and we spoke to them and ended up with someone amazing. And that person already had links to the community. We didn't actually hold a workshop for that one in the end, but there were community links there. And for Ensemble, we collaborated with a what do they do? They do sort of music production and creative writing workshops in Newham, this organisation called Lyrics Organics. And they basically put the workshop together and gathered everyone, and we just did some of the other legwork. And then for Freedom Festival, the festival, they organised that pretty much and had a poet recommended. But yeah, we've had other ideas of how we can go about that, and Yeah, but we've actually had a lot of support from the festivals themselves, which has been super helpful.
We've got 2 minutes, so maybe one more question, Ross, if you have one.
Last question then. It's not the smallest of pieces, would you say? So what's the sort of get-in time for this piece?
It's normally 1 or 2 day setup. Yeah. And then a 1 day
All
strike.
right. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you, Nancy. I loved it when I saw it. I wish we could have it, but I think it's probably just a bit too big for us in Basingstoke. So next up we've got Francesca from Miss High Leg Kick, who I know very well and is normally making her dinner when I talk to her on Zoom calls. Are you there, Francesca? Are you there, Francesca? De Memoire.
Sorry about that. You know what? I just find my mute. It just seemed a bit different on the. Hi, Ross. Nice to see you.
Hi. Off you go.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Mimosa, as well for sorting my slides out. So I'll start. Hello. I'm Francesca Baglione. I'm also known as Miss High Leg Kick. And I'm going to give you a little preview of my smell along show, Or de Memoire. So what is Or de Memoire? It's a live outdoor spectacle with music, dance, humour, performance, and most importantly, it's interactive smell. So the show consists of different acts. They're called performances, in which the artist captures a particular place and moment in time via fragrance. So, for example, Katie Baird has created a performance about her memories of a SWAT party in London in 2002, and it has an accompanying smell-along fragrance. So we know that smell is the sense that's most closely linked to our memory and to our imagination. So smelling along makes the performances evocative and involving. And I found it really gets the audiences talking. I was inspired. It was inspired really by me losing my sense of sense of smell, through COVID. And I think that's what started it all. I started to appreciate, how important our senses are, how the sense of smell is. So yeah, maybe we could go to the next slide, please, Beeja. Yeah, so I've been really lucky to have worked with a really interesting and diverse range of artists on this show. So we have Steve Knight, Harold Offey, Richard Lazell, Lorna Reese, but we also have younger performers like Reggie Roberts, he's 16, Luciana is 12, and we've even got little Sula, she's 7. We found this really helps family and audiences engage with the show. So how it works, audiences are given smell-along cards, one for each performance. And for some people who want to dive a bit deeper, there's a QR code on the card giving background to the act and the smell. It's a portmanteau show, so we can add and remove acts based on the artist's availability if needed. To give you a flavour, the performances include Fun Fair 1978, that's in Barry Island, and we've got notes of Candy Floss and Diesel from the waltzers machines. We've got Leisure Centre in Colchester, 1992, and notes of Chlorine and CK1. We've got School Dance, that's my act, 1988, and it smells of the school dance gym floor and lip gloss. We've also got Brazilian Beach 2017, Squat Party 2002, Bournemouth Workshop 1996, London Park, 1967. There's also an extra option for a bespoke fragrance for a festival. So for example, for the City of London, we created the smell of Bartholomew Fair in 1820, and it had with its accompanying act perfumance. So the acts are very different from one another, and we've made sure there's something for everyone. Yeah, maybe the next slide, please, Mimosa. Thank you. So Eau de Memoire is a very accessible show. We know from our 2023 tour, it works well for a real mix of audiences, family friendly, speech free. We've worked really hard on access. We have audio descriptions, touch calls, an easy read version, and I've got transcription also for a BSL interpreter. When we worked at Stoke-on-Trent for Appetite, we worked really closely with their BSL interpreter there, and they incorporated into the show really well. But then the show adapts to any space, really. In fact, you can see from the picture there, we prefer not to have a stage where possible, but you know, it's adaptable to stage, any space really. And you can see from the picture here how the handing out of cards works. There's little Sula explaining the show, and audiences smelling along as well. Yeah, the next one, please. Thank you, Melissa.
We have 2 minutes, including
Okay,
the questions afterwards as well.
Thank you.
No
So hopefully these pictures should give you a sense of how the show works. We guide audiences through the interactive part. I hold up a giant card showing them which one to smell when. And we took the show on a small tour last year, and we finessed it as we went, I think, and we've got really good at knowing what works. We found audiences love it because it's so approachable, and the format allows the individual artists also to come up with something which is really personal to them, but which hangs together with the other acts for a complete show. Yeah, so if you'd like me to send you a smell along a sample pack so you can actually smell this presentation, yeah, let me know. Thank you. I think, yeah,
Brilliant.
I really look forward to talking to everyone. Thank you.
We've had it in Basingstoke. It was a bonkers weekend of very wet weather. So you do perform in all weathers, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot for us not to do it, you know, in bad weather. We'll yeah, we can do it in all weathers. There's even one of the acts, which is Leisure Centre, Steve Nice's Leisure Centre, even has Singing in the Rain music in it at some point. And once we did a show for Brighton Festival, and it was absolutely bucketing down, but everyone was watching with their umbrellas, and it was just lovely. It was really, we were just soaked. But
So sorry to jump in, but that is over 7 minutes. I'm going to have to stop you there.
Oh, right, okay.
It is break time, and I'm cutting it down to 2 minutes because we are way over time. So I'm going to start a 2-minute timer now, and then we'll come back in 2 minutes. And Ross, you can tell us about Basingstoke.
Brilliant. Sorry, we're over time, Mimosa. I've asked too many questions.
Sorry to be bad cop, Ross. I just don't want anyone to get cut off at the end and they can't present.
No, I totally get it. Keep being bad cop, because I will just get involved in all the discussions.
I was
Bad
supposed to
facility.
be, but no, it's all right. It's interesting. They are all interesting, and there's so much more than could be said. I will be more.
Don't worry, Sam. I'm really sitting into my seat of bad cop. I'll do mine. Nice. I can see a lot of videos off, but if you are there, please rejoin us. We are going to jump back in with Ross and Basingstoke Festival. I think Alison is here as well, so you're not having a conversation with yourself, Ross.
So yes. So Alison's gonna just run us through a couple of slides that she put together this morning for us. Thank you, Alison, while I was out doing some public art investigations. So over to you, Alison, and then I'll ask you some questions.
Thank you. So shall I just start, Mimosa, and I can pick up with the slides after?
There you are, you got your slide. Just playing catch up, I think.
Yeah. Here we go.
Really?
So yes, Basingstoke Festival. We too are heading into our 13th year this year, so entering into our moody teenage years. So our festival takes place across 3 weekends. This year it will be the last 2 weekends in June, first weekend in July. And the festival for us celebrates arts, culture, community and place. I can move on to the next slide. Thank you. So our festival is there to find art and experiences in places where people wouldn't normally find events and performances for the rest of the year. So we're looking at making it as accessible as possible. Most of the program is free, and all the engagement activities are free as well, with the focus being on family work. So our festival takes place during the day, usually between 10 and 5. We'll program all our activities, our performances. Our aim is to reach about 5,000 people per week through performances, events, online activity, and through the engagement work. And we have a program that is made up of theatre, dance, storytelling, music, circus, film, and visual arts. I'm ready for the next slide. So last year we had 94 performances that took place in the town centre, but also some in the wider area as well. So geographically, Basingstoke's interesting. We're as a borough council, we are about the 3rd largest geographic spread in the country, with about 245 square miles. This year we want to have more performances out rurally with our communities. We're very aware that transport is a real issue to get our people into the town centre, and so they are really restricted about how they can engage with the festival. So our plan is to have more performances out in the rural communities. And the next slide, please. So alongside the work that we bring in from you lovely people nationally, and where we can internationally, we're very lucky to have a number of artists and organisations who create work specifically for the festival. The work and involvement in the festival supports their artistic development, but it also supports some of our local priorities. So, for example, we have Jody, whose work for young people focuses on the climate emergency and sustainability. We have Fluid Motion Theatre, and their focus is on health and mental well-being. We have Scratchbook Productions, and they do beautiful immersive family performances for us. And so we would look to include their work as well this year. I'm on my 5th and final slide, I think. So we had
that perfect because you have 2 more minutes for questions.
So we have overall we had about 33,000 people interacting with the performances last year. We had about 663 people engaged in workshops and participation activities. And we're really keen to focus more on our engagement and participatory work, just to help our residents engage more fully and have a greater experience of the festival. And just for info, then our festival will be the weekend starting the 22nd of June, ending the 7th of July this year. I would say that we think we have our programme pretty much in place for this year, but are very interested in work that's taking place in 2025. I think that's me.
Yes, Alison has spent all of the budget this year on programming, and we can't afford anything more. But what we would say is that we keep the doors open and keep the conversations going with artists, because now we've taken work this year, so keep almost starting on 2025. It feels like, and some of the artists on the call have been before and can tell you how amazing we are and how lovely it is to come to Basingstoke. We will move on to the next person now, which is Beeja. Oh, sorry, that's the company name, and it's Vipul. And I haven't seen your work. Are you there? Silence.
Good. I think that's better. Can
Oh,
everybody
there
hear
you
me?
are. Yes.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm Vipul. I'm from Beeja Dance Company. Beeja was started by Anusha Subramaniam, who's also one of the dancers in the current piece that we're talking about, called Choogh. Now, Choogh is an early years work. Started for 0 to 5 years, but we have found that it engages audience of all ages. It has been around for 2 years. It started life during the pandemic outdoors in Somerset. It has moved indoors, outdoors constantly, including Without Walls in Brighton, Crawley, various festivals, including Monarchy Festival up north, and various other places. We are going to do a big one show in South Bank at the ballroom on the 7th, I think, early February. Now, the piece is an interactive train journey through India. So it's sights, sound, imaginative experiences of people. So it's the order of the slide is slightly wrong, but anyway, this is the stay and play, which is right at the end that happens. The first one is there are 3 dancers. Most of them are from a South Asian dance background. We've had people who have come from contemporary or theater background as well to join in. And that's been the exciting bits, that it's a piece that has now got a lot of people who have gone through the piece and worked with it. So depending on what is around, who's available, because South Asian dancers, there are very few around and they're fairly busy. So it's important that each one brings their own energy and element to the piece. The piece has 3 chunnis, which is these scarves, and they form a lot of things, whether they form windows of the trains, they form the smoke of the train, they form animals. When everybody comes in, they get a ticket, which they have to some point show during the show. So there's already prepped for engaging with the show. It's a lot of interaction where they share food, make believe. They talk about where they're going and enjoy themselves in terms of the journeys, the places they will visit. They go through forests, they go through Rajasthan kind of country. They go places which have water and rivers. They meet people in the train, they meet people outside the train, they have chai, they have coffee, they fly kites, and all sorts happens. And we've had some amazing responses all around, including people who have kids who have loved it, grown-ups who have come back because they have been to India and have seen the train journey and have been teary-eyed by sort of memories of it. People who want to go because there is that element. So much so that this time there is a possibility of taking the tour down back to India which I find very strange to begin with, but now I've got used to the idea. So there's going to be probably 30 odd shows in India, probably end of the year. And that's where we are with the show. Lots of images available, video, all sorts of things are there. So we can easily send the stuff to get the show on it. Right now, we're going to do by about April, we'll have another 15 days of touring already set up. We are doing this with the house at this point.
Brilliant, Vipul.
We can have the other images. Yeah. So
Brighton. It was a wonderful show. And there's a real sense of community as part of it, isn't there?
Yeah. It's very much designed for that. It's to.
In terms of that sort of stay and play, how does that work? Can you just describe how that works a little bit?
The moment the show ends, the kids are encouraged to come in, and even the grown-ups, because if the kids are reluctant, to go through the tunnels that are being made with the chunnis. And once that happens, then they learn some amount of footsteps, footwork, movement, gestures, all of that. After that, there is a point at which they sit around and make chai together, because chai is integral to what you get in the trains. And you learn about spices and you learn about how to make a chai, the whole process. And then there is a period of rest and relaxation. If the stage is too hot, then we avoid certain things depending on what happens. But it's very fluid in terms of the way it's structured. And the idea is to make sure that everybody, as much as possible, is engaged in the process. And then there is this end with the tying of turbans or saris, not gender specific, because anybody can come and join in, including grown-ups. And that's been the general format of the piece.
Brilliant. Thank you. I'm just aware of time. It's a lovely piece. And we're going to move on to the clay connection. Is Lisa there?
Yes.
Hi, Lisa.
Lisa is. This is me. Hi.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks
Hi.
for joining us today. I saw this piece in Norwich. Have we got any slides, or are you? Oh, yeah, we do have some slides.
Yeah. These slides may look a bit unfamiliar. So Lives of Clay was a Without Walls commission from 2022, and it toured 10 festivals. And I'm sorry I was late to join today, so I missed hearing Dom because we had a lovely time at his festival. And yeah, so it did a large Without Walls supported tour in 2022, and this last year, 23, we did 3 more UK festivals. Dartington, we were in Poole with my mind's gone completely blank. Activate, and we were at Redcar's first family festival, new one there. And we also quite unexpectedly had a tour of India. That's not one of my slides, but never mind. That is. So we did a slightly seat of our pants visit to 3 cities in India with the show, which was remarkable. So Lives of Clay now sits in 2 sheds, one in Chennai, in southern India. That's a group from Chennai who came, and Vidya Tirunarayan is picture there. And we have so we had the set rebuilt in India, and that's there. And we also have the set in just outside Chichester, ready to go out again in any future time. So for those who don't know Lives of Clay, it's a solo by Vidya Tirunarayan. She's a Bharatanatyam dancer, and she's also a ceramicist. And she spent 5 years working out how to combine those 2 skills, and the result was Lives of Clay. And it's performed on this very spectacular set. It's quite messy, it's quite dark in terms of its content, in that it blends Indian mythology with a story of hardship and loss. So that might sound a little bit hard going, but it has managed to engage audiences of all ages, totally rapt by it because of the performance quality, the narrative of it, the story, how the story is told, the music that runs alongside it. It's a 45-minute static piece, and I have to say that over the 2 years we've been touring it, we've become much tighter and slicker at erecting the thing. It's still quite labour intensive, and it still is quite a long get-in, but we've managed to hone it down to 6 hours, which is something. Yeah, it appeals to all ages. It's quite that's a better view of how it sits there. It goes on to hard standing or grass, or I'm thinking potentially sand, which would be nice in Bournemouth. And the audience sits on 3 sides. And when we were in Chennai just after Christmas this year, because of rain, we had to move it indoors into an indoor site. Some of the audience was still outside and some sat around inside, so we know now that it does work inside as well, which is helpful. So that's Lives of Clay. I know some of you have seen it, and it's lovely to be reminded of some of the work that I saw on tour as well when I was with this show.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. Thank you. It's a really lovely, well-rounded play for me. It works really nicely in a space. In terms of sort of some of the logistics, you talked a little bit about the 6-hour get-in. In terms of the play, is that something that's always sourced locally, or how does that work?
The play, we did a bit of both. In some places we sourced it locally. Sometimes we took it with us. Certainly the clay, so there's 2 lots of clay. There's clay on the set, a lot of earthenware clay on the set, which you can see and which people come and play with afterwards. And there's clay that Vidya uses to throw pots on the wheel, which she takes with her because that's more of a porcelain type clay and it needs treating. So there's a lot of behind the scenes whacking and treating of clay before we can build the set. So those things add to some of the logistical considerations because it's very heavy. So, you know, it depends on how we're moving things around as to where it goes to. I should have said also that we provide a range of different workshops and activities to involve local communities, workshops that combine clay and movement. We did a beautiful one in Poole in the shopping centre space with people who had learning disabilities, and they made some remarkable things out of clay, and they did movements to relate to the pieces that they'd made, and it was lovely. And we'd love to do more of that, and you know, come to sites earlier and do some prep work before people come to see the show, to kind of help them to digest some of the themes within it. And yeah. Thank you, Dom.
Saying in the chat that he can recommend the clay workshop. Brilliant. Thank you, Lisa. Just aware of time, but thank you so much. It's a great piece. And good luck for the next tour. We're on to Jasmine at Hampshire Cultural Trust. Jasmine.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
I don't have
How
any
are you?
slides. Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So you've obviously got 3 locations, are you, that you're looking to program in outdoor work for Hampshire
Yes.
Cultural Trust?
So yeah,
Do you
we're
just want
Hampshire
to tell
Cultural
us
Trust.
a bit about that?
We have 23 venues across Hampshire. So we have 4 art centres and the rest are galleries and museums. We are a new NPO because we have art centres in the 3 priority places in Hampshire, which is Gosport, and I'm in the New Forest, and the other one is Rushmore. The aim is to use the Without Walls into these 3 priority places, and I believe we have used Gosport, so I'm in the New Forest, and now we're coming round to the New Forest to deliver outdoor work. So the New Forest, obviously a beautiful place we've got the beach and the forest. We have a thriving network of cultural organisations in the New Forest, and we call ourselves Folio. So there are lots of organisations that collaborate together. And as part of Folio for the next coming year, we are looking at developing outdoor theatre. There is a recognition that in the forest, theatre is struggling in terms of the venues are trying to get bums on seats and people aren't necessarily engaged in theatre. We're really lucky that within Folio we have several organisations, us included, that are looking to develop theatre work. And so we're working with the New Forest District Council to develop a festival. But the difficulty with the New Forest is that there are pockets of areas and there's pockets of communities, and they find it difficult to travel to these locations. So we are calling it a festival, but it will probably most likely be not in one specific place, but harnessing the fact that we are in an outstanding place of natural beauty and looking to include that within the festival. Hope that makes sense because it's a bit woolly.
No, it's great, and I'm always amazed by Hampshire Cultural Trust with your 23 spaces, how you manage to juggle your geography, because Hampshire is not a small county, and I think in terms of the outdoor work, I think the New Forest is just such a brilliant location for it. Going forward,
and it's definitely underutilized, New Forest.
Yeah, definitely, and there might be some links there but maybe with Arts by the Sea, because they're nearby, so there might be a conversation also to have with Tor on that. Once you got your procurement through, Tor, there might be a conversation to have on that. Brilliant. Is there anything else you want to add at the moment?
Oh, can I just ask a question quickly?
Yeah, sure.
Just in terms of this year, are you already fully programmed for this year, or are you still looking for this year? And if so, what are you kind of keeping your eye out for?
So we are still looking. We have, as part of our 23 venues, especially in the New Forest, we have an outdoor venue which is Roman ruins. So they're outdoors. It's called Rockbourne Roman Villa. We usually program outdoor work to audiences in that site specifically. So we are open to that for the summer. We usually generate a different audience by going out into the other side of the New Forest, trying to branch out into those communities. We are also on the consortium for a Creative People and Places programme with Arts Council, Culture in Common. And so they are often looking for outdoor work that we can collaborate on and utilising them as well. So yes, we are still open, specifically for the summer. But the main things on our radar is theatre for the next coming year, as well as we are doing a Play on Words literature festival as well. So there might be some way in that way for literature-based work.
So as well, excellent. Thank you so much to Hampshire Cultural Trust and Jasmine. And next we've got Sho from Stopgap.
Hi there.
Hiya. Have you got any slides?
I have, yeah. Milo's just getting that up.
Well, off
Great.
you go.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ross. So I'm Sho from Stopgap Dance Company. So I'm here to present predominantly Frock, which was supported by Without Walls. And Frock is a small to mid-scale work. It was commissioned by Without Walls in 2019. And essentially, it's a playful exploration of gender roles by disabled and non-disabled dance artists. It was very much designed for taking diversity, difference, and acceptance, and also tolerance of differences, and celebrate all of the joys that diversity brings to public spaces around the country. Mimosa, if you could go next. So in the time of heightened identity politics, you might think, oh, I'm not sure about cross-dressing diverse people flocking around in town centres. We knew it was going to be quite a challenge, perhaps, and we took quite a lot of consideration into how to make the work as accessible, amenable, approachable, and fun as possible. And fortunately, it worked. It's our most popular work to date. It has an absolutely universal appeal. We found out that it's a hit with audiences and programmers in metropolitan cities like London, Barcelona, and Munich, but also in regional towns like Skegness, Grimsby, Leicester, who perhaps don't see as much contemporary dance done by disabled and non-disabled people. And we're an NPO co-funded by Arts Council, and one of the things we have to do is audience surveys, our favorite. But in some ways, it informs us quite a lot about what people think. So we've collected surveys over the years, and we found that 80% of survey results show people liking it very much, 4 to 5 star reviews from audiences, and lots of positive words. And just to reiterate the fact that it's a very popular work, in 2022 alone, we reached about 26,000 people, 56 performances, 19 cities and 6 countries, right the way through from March to October. Yeah, it was quite intense. We probably can't do a program like that again, but yeah, we're still keeping this work in rep for this year and maybe next year, depending on demand. We're having to turn some festivals away this year, unfortunately, so it looks like we will be keeping it in rep for next year, which would be great. If you could go next slide, please, Mimosa. Here we go. Okay, so in essence, these are the performers. You can see that they're quite unusual, unusually dressed. But it's a quirky but highly likable dance piece. There's lots of athletic partner works that's dynamic and engaging, and also very beautiful and gentle moments. It's well supported by a specially composed music by alternative folk rock band called Moulettes. It's immediately engaging, fun, and accessible. And music really plays a great part in drawing in the audiences. And you can see that, you know, there's a lot of twisting of gender stereotypes to play around with it. Men are dressed as women, but they're still kind of doing lots of the lifts, but in a very feminine way. So there's a lot of juxtaposition and play with what the concept of maleness and manliness and womanliness might be. And if you could click and activate the all the feedback we've got from lots of programmers and audiences. As you can see, we managed to get a 4-star review for Greenwich and Docklands when we did the London premiere in 2019. Jens Hansen, program Sewing Skegness, he loved it in 2019, and subsequently we went to Skegness. And we had a really lovely email from Graham Callister when he was programming for Birmingham. Frock being a real highlight for him, and piece being very distinctive. So the track record is there. If you go to the next slide, please, Mimosa. And also, I just wanted to share you this little feedback I got from Charlotte Bowen from Grimsby. She was very kind to interview one of the members of community and capture it on film to send it to me. And this is what she said: this recording's from someone who usually sits in the square drinking. She was really touched and emotional, and here's the video. I can't share you the full video, wish I could, but you know, in essence, she was very overwhelmed by it, and the key sort of snippets that she gave us was this statement here: this is what our children need to see. So yeah, that's pretty much hit the nail on the head there. If you could go to the next slide. Is that 2 minutes?
Yes, it
All
is
right.
2 minutes, including questions.
Okay,
Perfect.
this is the slightly cheeky, but we also have another show called Echoes Within the Earth. This is a piece created by learning disabled dance artist Chris Pavia. It went to Greenwich Fair last year, and we are tour booking for Chris this year. It's designed for rural and green spaces. It was commissioned by the National Trust and South Downs National Park local authority. And it was commissioned because they wanted to bring more learning disabled people into green spaces and engage with nature. So there's a nice sort of narrative along how Chris engages with the greenness, and then these two sort of unknown individuals come into the space, drawing people in to do reflective dance that's blending in with nature. So yeah, that's also available.
Very quick question is, I mean, I've worked with Stopgap a number of times over the years, and it's always been absolutely brilliant. But you always have brilliant participatory programs. Could you touch on the participatory program linked to the show?
Yeah, sure. So we actually started off as a community dance organization, and we kept the practice of engaging with particularly focused on learning disabled and disabled people in the community. And we have great role models in our performance. Yeah, they quite on regular basis go out there to deliver workshops. We also are on the GCSE dance syllabus as well. So we have a whole series of engagement work for non-disabled young people who want to learn more about inclusivity.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and good luck for the next venture as well, which must be very soon.
Yes, I should probably say that I'm leaving in 3 weeks to take up the role of Director of Outdoor Arts UK. So I really look forward to working with all of you in different guises in 3 weeks' time. But I will be, I'm handing over the Outdoor Arts programme into my colleague called Annie Rose, and I will make sure that she's looped in with any conversations as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sho. Okay, Adam, Theatre Timon, and I assume it's Flood, is it?
Yes, it is indeed. I think Abbie, you're on the call as well.
Yes,
Hi,
I am.
everyone.
Do you want me to kickstart?
Yes,
So it's really lovely to see so many of you here today and have the opportunity to speak about flood. Some of you will have heard about it, but we'll go into some more detail. So I'll introduce us very briefly, and then I'll hand over to Adam to talk directly about flood. So my name is Abbie Willcox. I'm the new Executive Director and CEO of Theatre Temoin. And for those of you who don't know us, we are a professional arts charity and theatre company. And we've toured award-winning shows and engagement projects. And our work often focuses on hidden and undertold stories. So all of our work is in direct collaboration with communities. And we co-create new pieces of theatre and embed their voice and their lived experience into the work. So the themes of our work are very much socially urgent, and we present those in our characteristically playful, physical theatre, highly visual style. We had a fabulous year with Flood last year, 2023. So let me pass over to Adam McGuigan, who is our Associate Director and Director of Flood, to talk about the exciting plans for this year.
Brilliant. Thanks, Abbie. So just kind of talk a little bit really quickly about the origins of Flood. So we were doing a tour, I think it was in 2019, an outdoor arts tour with our piece Roots, and we got annihilated by rain. And I don't mean we got drizzled on, I mean we got saturated. And absolutely, I don't think any of us have ever been the same since that watery summer of 2019, I think. So we were inspired by conversations we were having with mostly coastal communities, but also just thinking, we can't do this again. We need to create a show that not only can survive the weather, but actively thrives in watery, rainy conditions. So we created Flood, and the premise is that we wake up one day and the sea has stopped. The sea has stopped flat, still. There's no waves coming to shore. It's unresponsive. Is the sea dead? So 3 strangers are sent on a quest to discover what has happened to the sea. And that takes them into a journey into the eye of the storm. And it really presents a conversation, a theatrical conversation between the sea and the coastal communities that we spoke to. Part of it was really about having fun as well, and about really making it as immersive and playful and mischievous as possible while presenting this conversation. We did lots of facilitated workshops with coastal communities, with the marine biology students from University of Essex, RNLI Sea Cadets, and we're really interested in environmental challenges they were seeing, but also other challenges faced in the communities. How to present that? We were very clear, as I said, about water being a big integral character in the piece. And we worked with the amazing Bill Palmer from Avanti Display to use water as a character. So that starts with tears and sprays and squirts, and then we tease throughout the piece, and then ends up being a flood throughout the piece, and certainly in the finale. We were also interested in making it as accessible as possible, so we wanted to make sure for visually impaired audiences and deaf audiences, everybody had a really valid experience. So that took us down the road of having sound umbrellas, which you can see on the screen at the minute. So all the audiences have their own individual umbrellas or group umbrellas, and we've got a sound experience which is played through a speaker, but also the show is fully BSL integrated as well. So we want to make sure it's as accessible to everybody as possible. The BSL has been a big ingredient that we found throughout the rehearsal process. And we actually wrote a blog about our experience as a company working for the first time with a deaf artist, and our experiences working with BSL consultants. We've written that blog, and it's on the Without Walls website. But yes, how to use water effectively was such a beautiful part of the process as well. There's 3 characters. They all communicate in different ways. One uses acrobatics, one uses Spanish, and one uses BSL. We've got an interesting story really about how we've worked with festivals to try and target deaf audiences as well. We started working with the outreach departments of each festival. Then we also, last year, we worked with a deaf consultant. And this year, part of our plan is to also just go directly into deaf schools and into deaf festivals as well. We worked with an environmental consultant, Atlanta Cook, as well, just to make sure that our content was appropriate, our messaging, and also the whole the creative decisions were really aligned to the content of the piece. As Abbie said, 2022 we toured a lot of Without Walls festivals. Last year we were at Basingstoke with Ross, so we had a really lovely experience with them. And then in
and it rained.
It did rain, yes. It hasn't rained at all our festivals, but we did, yes, we did summon some rain in Basingstoke.
But it was beautiful in the rain.
And you do get umbrellas. I mean, people do get umbrellas as well. So the cast are well used to getting splashed upon as well. So next 2024, we're touring again from July 2024, and we're really working at enhancing the audience experience through maximizing the water, but also making sure the immersive experience. At one point, all the audience come into the space under the umbrellas, and it's a really beautiful, immersive, gentle, and enchanting moment. That's where we speak to the sea, and that's where the audience get rained on as well. So we're just beefing up the immersive quality, and then, as I said, really focusing on making sure that we're reaching deaf audiences as we spoke about. So that will be working with festivals, but also directly going into deaf schools. So I think that's where we are. I knew, Sarah. I knew. I was watching you.
Brilliant, thank you, Adam. As I say, we loved it in Basingstoke. We did it by a lake, and it was beautiful even in the rain. And children that came to our festival are still talking about that piece. Over to you, Mimosa, I think, for a wrap up, or.
Yeah. Oh, my computer is giving up because it's too many tabs open, but I hope you can hear me. No.
Yes.
You can hear me. Okay. I can't see you, but fine. We're at the end anyway. It doesn't matter. Yes. Thank you so much for coming. And we're only 3 minutes over time, which is really good. I will send out everybody's contact information, and I will also send out the recording. I'm not going to do an evaluation form, but I'd really appreciate any feedback. This is the first one of these sessions that we've done. I know on the one hand it is a really short amount of time, but on the other hand, if it was longer, I don't think as many people would be able to attend. So please just give me any of your thoughts. I really appreciate it. Try and improve it for the future. Let me know if you have any questions. You'll have my email address. Thank you so much, Ross. You've done such a great job as our facilitator today. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And we have our next session on the 16th of February. All of those slots are now full, but if you'd like to come and observe, you're welcome to do that. Just drop me an email. And yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Cheers.
Bye.